Hello and welcome to round 8 of the Enduro World Series 2019. We're here in Zermatt in Switzerland, as you can see from the Matterhorn. And you have to excuse me, my voice is a bit croaky. I've picked up something on the plane, but as a bike geek, I was not going to miss this opportunity. We've got a rather special tech video for you. We have got currently the two fastest enduro bikes in the world. Florian Nicolai's Canyon Strive and Sam Hill's Nukeproof Mega. And we're going to put them head to head, check them out, because as we all know, there is nothing cooler than race bikes. Let's start with the bike that's currently leading the elite men's title race, and Florian Nicolai's Canyon Strive 29. Now this is a full carbon fibre 29er bike with 160 millimeters of travel. It's got Canyon's Shapeshifter 2.0 technology. Now what that effectively means is that Flo can flick a switch here and switch it between uphill and downhill modes, and the bike will alter instantly. What that actually means is it's got two sets of geometry. So it slackens, increases in travel for downhill, and then comes in a bit, less travel, slightly steeper angles for climbing. Canyon say this is perfect for enduro racing, and it's certainly working out well for them this year. Now normally with some travel adjust and lockout systems, things tend to get very, very messy around the handlebars, but the Canyon team have done a great job of keeping this really simple. So the buttons have actually got click and clack written on them. That's all you have to do to change between the modes. But there's also a really nice little additional mount for the dropper post remote just underneath that. The cables are then linked together through the number board, and then they go into the frame internally. So all super, super clean, super, super tidy. And of course that's important because if you crash, they're not going to get pulled out, torn, caught and stuff. There's even as well a little magic link for his chain just taped on here, which I've just seen. Now, in terms of suspension, Flo is on rock shocks. He's got the Lyric, and he has got a super deluxe rear air shock. Now, his team told us that he runs a lot of tokens, but he also runs very, very minimal low-speed compression, which leads us on to an interesting point. Flo is actually just a little taller than me. I'm 6'1", and he rides a size large. Now, he tried the XL, but said that it didn't feel playful enough, and that suspension would also add to that he must like a bike to feel poppy, nice and manoeuvrable in the air, and that could be vital in these massive rock sections in Zermatt this weekend. What else have we got? Well, we've got SRAM axis shift Bluetooth shifting, and there's also a spare battery located for that just underneath the bottle cage, and it just keeps coming because look, carbon fibre bottle cage, and the team have lined that with grip tape to make sure that he doesn't lose a bottle, which is actually really, really neat. And these are the sort of little details that you really have to love if you're looking at a race bike. But on the grip tape theme, if we look up to the controls, there's fresh grip tape on the front lever blades. We've got grip tape on the axis shifter. We've got grip tape on the dropper post. So every control, every little input is just perfectly balanced. It's so tricky to look around it. Next up, brakes, we've got SRAM Code RSCs, matched to what looked like, there's a little adapter here for what looks like center lock rotors, so I'm not sure why they've done that, but it's pretty cool. A lot of the enduro riders don't actually run the center lock mechanism because the theory is if you bend a rotor, for whatever reason you need to take it off the wheel, you've got to carry a whole, like the bottom bracket tool that attaches it to the bike with you, so that's interesting. He's got a 34 tooth ring on the front, SRAM X01, cranks, carbon fibre, continuing the theme. Ergon saddle, fresh Ergon grips for this race. And I like these Canyon's own brand G5 do the bar and stem. And just whenever you sit and look over the bars, 780mm wide bars, 40mm stem, really chunky stem, really chunky head tube. It just feels like a really solid planted front end. And you can also see as well the mechanics have marked a little dot of probably what's Tip-X or some sort of correcting fluid right at the gauged marks on the end of the Ergon grips, just so that his grips are set in exactly the right place. Maxxis Assegai front tyre, and I think it's got test pilot marked on it, so this is one of the prototype Minion DHR2s, so maybe something a bit special going on there. Alloy rims, DT Swiss, on DT Swiss hubs. Yeah, it's a very, very trick bike and definitely worthy of leading the title chase at the minute. Let's move on to Sam's then, because fans of Sam Hill will tell you that there are few people who have as many nibbly little touches on their setups than the man himself, masterminded by his long-term mechanic JC. We'll start with the frame. This is a 2020 Nukeproof Mega. So Sam is running a size medium Mega 29, and that is a 2020 frame design. Carbon fibre front end, alloy rear end. They've changed some things up. I mean, the Mega's been around since 2012. It first appeared. It was a bike designed to take on the Mega Avalanche race. It was really ahead of the curve in terms of enduro bikes, and they've just really finessed that over the years. And I think that's actually a really svelte, really good looking bike. Suspension again is RockShox. Sam's got the, what's that say on it? It doesn't say anything on it. Interesting. So maybe a bit of a specially tweaked rear shock for Sam. Lyric fork again, 170mm travel. He's got, now this is trick, I noticed this as I wheeled it out of the pits. Chain reaction Mavic, obviously title sponsor Mavic. See these little details on the rim? These sort of Mexican Day of the Dead things. Last time Sam won the championship in Finale last year, he had a special Mexican Day of the Dead themed bike that his family helped to design. These are going to be signature Sam Hill Mavic rims. So if you don't want the full yellow traditional Mavic rims, they are going to be Day of the Dead. And they're going to have black hubs as well. These ones have yellow hubs. This is interesting. 32th ring for Sam, and Florian is running the 34. So maybe he just likes to spin the legs a bit more on climbs. Also check out this mud hugger. Cut down, really trimmed right down, really neat and tidy. Yeah, I'm into that. That's just total attention to detail, isn't it? And this is what you'd expect from a bike prepared by JC. Little, if you just come right here, there's little rubber pads everywhere. Little stick-on rubber pads where cables might touch the frame. Check out these as well, little details. JC said he doesn't like press the valves or press the valve caps. So this is just a Schrader valve cap with an extra little bolt in it. And it just gives it a bit more protection than the tiny little plastic one that comes on it. The level of detail on both of these bikes actually is just absolutely staggering. Really, really cool. So let's move to the cockpit. And it is all alloy bars, alloy stem. These are Sam Hill's signature bars. I think they're 760 width. They'll probably come a bit wider, but he's cut them down obviously. Look how worn these grips. These are his signature grips from Nukeproof. And the ends of them, where the man himself's hands have been, right worn down, right down to like the second layer of rubber. The lever feel, there's definitely more pull than there is on Florian's bike. Florian's brakes feel really like instant. These, there's a bit more gradient to them. And just on the subject of the stem then, in here, we've got the One-Up Components EDC tool. A lot of EWS riders running that. Florian isn't. His stem slammed right down to the head tube. Sam, with 20mm spacers in there as well as a rather trick little Garmin mount. It just sits underneath it also, as Garmin's tucked away behind the number board. If you look, I'll look at his axis shifter is trimmed right down as well. What did I tell you? Nibbles. Code RSC brakes again. He's gone for the 6 bolts. A bit more traditional on how they're attached to the wheels, but if you look, yeah, they're black, silver, black, silver, black, silver. That's pretty cool. I asked him what this little patch of duct tape was for. And that's where Sam runs a strap that has his tube, spare CO2 and stuff. They've got this little patch of tape, which means that it doesn't rub on the frame when he's riding, get a bit of dirt underneath it and tarnish the paint. Nice little tip that if you're planning on doing something similar at home. Then the famous Sam Hill flat pedals, and look at the pins on those. Absolutely monstrous things. Interesting, he doesn't run them inside. There's a few scuffs and scrapes, but these are his top flight signature ones, so they've got the titanium axles, so they're super light as well. It's just a really, really cool thing. I really, really like this slate grey as well. Axis shifting as well, so you can see that there are holes for cables to go in, but not necessary. He's got the Axis Bluetooth dropper as well, which is a really, really nice thing, and quite a common thing. Race mechanics really, really like these, because if there's a problem with them, they can just take them out and put a new one in. There's no messing around with internal cables or bleeding or trying to do it all in the frame. Tyres, Michelin DH22s. Now these have been in development with the chain reaction team for a few years. They've seen World Cup use, they're here, they're there. Big chunky tyres, lovely soft, super tacky side knobs on them. Yeah, it's a Sam Hill race bike. And to be honest, they're both very, very special bikes to be around. And just, yeah, there's nothing cooler than race bikes, is there? We're going to find out come Saturday evening, hopefully if the weather plays ball, which of these two have been the fastest all year. There's only 60 points in it at the very top of the championship. And it gets more interesting because the Queen stage is the last stage of the day, and that's worth 40 points alone, so it could come right down to the wire. Please join us. We have our live race feed on EnduroWorldSeries.com, as well as on our social media channels, and we can find out whether Florian Nicolai or Sam Hill is going to take the 2019 title.